Hello, everybody. Thanks for having us today. You might wonder what brought the two of us together. We did meet at Cannes, and Julian is one of the best things I encountered in Cannes, so I'm very happy we met.
And I told you how the Snapchat spectacles work, right?
Exactly. I was the president for the product design jury and had some problems with some of the gadgets. It might be the age gap, but anyhow, we figured it out. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how much advertisement influences the world, politics, future trends, media, consumer behavior, and we're trying to give you a hint about products that are possible, products that you could design in the future, and then we'll discuss with Julian how to influence these products and how to get them on the market or make them strong. Julian is not an influencer, he is a banker, and I call him the pimp of influencers because he actually brings them all together and decides which influencers to get on a campaign.
Right.
Who am I?
You're Ruth Berthold, I reckon, and you're a famous architect, and you're a professor as well in New York, and I think you rock.
Thank you so much. Anyhow, yes, my main business is architecture, so I'm very happy to be here and actually announce and interview an influencer, which was very fascinating to me to even find out what that is, because I'm not in the marketing business. But I do product design, and I was very lucky to have been in the jury in Cannes many times for the category product design. That's why we're talking about products.
Right.
And what do you do?
Yeah, this is what I am doing. Well, not exactly, obviously, but you guys know that these two don't go together very well, but if you use Zendium toothpaste, which is a brand of Unilever, these go together very well. And what we basically tell Unilever is that no one in the social web gives a damn about sensitive foam or Scandinavian bioscience. They give a damn about stories, and we let influencers tell the stories and make 25,000 people go mental over a toothpaste sample.
Wow, I adore your work. So, how do we predict the future by influencing it? What we brought you today is a chart done by Professor Horks. He's from the Future Institute, Zukunftsinstitut. This is done like a subway map, but I love referring to it. We're going to talk about smart cities. We're going to talk about smart cities versus resilient cities and the products we need to design in order to make our life better in the future. We're going to talk about health and aging. We're going to talk about new mobility, and obviously also the female shift. You see that the little girl that's standing against the bull in Manhattan in heavy badass Wall Street, that's very male influenced, and we're trying.
What I find funny is, based on the topics we just saw, you're already influenced, right? You're influenced through films, through media, or through other influencers you're following on the social web, whether they're considered to be influencers or not, or whether they be your friends. So you're already influenced on those topics.
So what we're going to do today, we're going to go through a few product design ideas. Some of them have been awarded at the Cannes Lions. Some of them is student work. Some of them comes from different awards. And then we're going to talk about a few campaigns that work or don't work in your eyes. And then we're going to discuss some of the stuff that's happening right now. So a smart city must learn to be resilient as well. Already Rockefeller, the Rockefeller Foundation already claimed that. Here's a chart of a smart city. So everything is blue and nice, but these days we are prone to many more dangers in a city, as we probably don't have to tell you. Financial crisis, poverty, violence, and so on. And this is an example of, this is a chart of IBM looking at all the problems in India. Here, one product that I liked a lot, we had it in the Cannes jury this year. It's an ink, a plotter ink, and a paintbrushes made out of air pollution. So that's just one of the products we want to show you. This was the winner of the product design category this year. We thought it was an amazing product because it uses the old phones. I saw that they actually have Wi-Fi spots here in in the phone cabins in London. I thought that's really cool. So they made a pay bank out of it. So I'm just going to start running the movie, and we will still talk. So people could bring their few coins that they earn and put them into the bank, and could also pay via payphone. And it has such a humongous social impact that we wanted to show you that today. A few other products that are done by different students from all over the world. This is a drone that's actually helping finding missing people if there's a catastrophe. That's another drone that's helping to extinguish fire in the cities. A traffic light that actually prevents the ambulance or the other people to actually drive while the ambulance is going wild in the cities, especially here in London. I think it is a problem that we have so much traffic. Another student idea was to have a piezoelectric sidewalk. You all know the sneakers that light up when you step on the sole. So that would collect energy and feed it back to the building. Another topic that we want to briefly touch upon today is the Silver Society. This is how the demographics are changing. So in 2050, we have more 80-year-old than 20 or 40-year-old. Another reason why we're working together. You will have to support me later. Anyhow, so you can see that Germany is number 2, Italy number 1, UK, very lucky, is down here. So everything might work out for you. So that's how we started coming up with products. That's where we also work together. Julian and I, we are trying to produce smart products for an aging society. And my first love before I met you is Pepper, actually. He's the sweetest guy, and he was invented in Tokyo, and he helps elderly people who are alone, he actually talks to them. They did take Pepper, and he's a receptionist in many hotels now because he's a cuddly little boy.
And it saves money for the hotels.
Exactly. That's another smart device, and I'm almost finished with the products. Just to give you an idea what you can do out there with advertisement, with product design, and use that for campaigns. That's a smart door handle. If you don't use it for 7 hours, it's giving off an alert. That's a remote control. You will do something much cooler than that because we don't need remote controls anymore. But
yeah, I think with Alexa and the Google system and Siri, the Google Assistant, I think it's better usability to when you're older to talk to a personal computer that will give you what you need and not just figure out how to do it on a device like this.
That device can control the heating, the shutters, even your phone. But
so can Alexa.
You're coming up with something better already. That's just a health application, a brick test that you can do at home. That's a little robot who watches your baby. So if there's anything happening, it will give you a high alert. That is a ring for hearing impaired people that gives off vibration and sound. So in case you are in trouble. And this is something I wish I had for you today because you did heard. He also is a rock star, so he slipped on stage.
That's true.
I promise not to tell
Sounds
anybody.
Not a rock star, right?
I think it's very cool anyway. Anyhow, so those will be the new casts. They will be 3D printed and they will be very custom made. That's something that is our both favorite product. We will talk about that in a little while, and we're not telling you what it is, but it's named after a researcher, Humboldt. So. One thing that we're going to discuss is also new food. This is work by Terraform in New York. They also have a big festival this weekend where it's all about new products. This is children furniture that's actually grown from bacteria. And that is a cricket farm that actually produces food, insect bars, also influencing it. I heard that Angelina Jolie is already eating that stuff. And we're going to share a little movie with you.
Yeah, I would consider Angelina Jolie to be a, like we call it, blue chip influencer because she has a lot of reach. She is famous not only in the social web but rather in the linear media. And if you would, I don't know, if someone gave you an insect to try, would you try it? You would think about it twice. I mean, depends on who gives you this insect and who gives you the idea that it might be actually healthy for you and for the planet.
Well, I went to Iceland after they won the championship, and I had an insect bar there because they hand them out at the airport, and I thought that was pretty cool.
And you just tried it?
Of course.
And?
Well, I looked better before. No.
But you didn't throw up or something?
No, it was okay. It was a little bit stale in taste, but it was really okay.
Yeah, I think that is a good case for influencer marketing, because you don't really want to try it in the first place. You want others to try it out and make the mistakes for you. But I think it is a huge opportunity that we have with the insects, and we need a lot of influencing to get people until this or to this new nutrition source.
I mean, this is one thing that a lot of people are already trying to reproduce meat. That is something I have bigger problems with, thinking I'm eating a hamburger, and I know it's something else, but we will see where it goes. We brought just another few slides before we're going to talk about your work as an influencer. We're both from Germany, and so the car industry is really major there. Also, we have a lot of scandals lately. Already they call themselves mobility companies because they know they're in trouble. But really what's happening out there is not new cars. It's not stackable cars. It's not self-driving cars. I mean, the one self-driving car that Audi did was actually done in our backyard, and it was full of cables. It was unbelievable. So there's no space for somebody anymore. But that is a big challenge that we are facing, and I think that a lot of the car companies are really working on it, but they're not there yet.
Yeah.
And so now I introduce Julian again.
Thank you very much.
With influencing.
Well, this is one of my favorite topics because marijuana or cannabis was forbidden for a very long period. It started in 1930 with Harry J. Anslinger, who was the first commissioner of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. And he was the first influencer against marijuana, and he made a huge campaign against marijuana where he was saying it's the most violence-causing drug, and people go crazy when they smoke marijuana and they kill people and stuff like that, and you just really know that's not just like that. But in the 1930s, the media landscape was very flat and linear, and people couldn't discuss in the comments, and that's the reason why marijuana is still forbidden until today. But there are some very famous influencers and investors going into this drug because it's so versatile and gives you so much benefit on different topics, like, for example, if you want to relax, if you have back pain, if you have seizures or stuff like that. And some people recognize it and are now making this a whole new industry, which has a lot of benefits for all of us. That's what I think. So, what do you think about the product design? I think it's you wouldn't consider that to be something illegal. It's more like something you would buy in a pharmacy.
I can tell you one thing. It was also one of the products that was handed in for Cannes Lions this year, and I had all the sticks, and I kept sucking them during the very strenuous process in the product design jury, because obviously we were so many people from so many different countries with different backgrounds, and we didn't agree on everything, but everybody absolutely agreed that this is a really cool product. Not only would I have them all, I think that the idea of it being something healthy just from the packaging, I think it's very cool.
Yeah, and I think when you tried it out, you will go back home and tell people about your experience, and you will be influencing them too, and you will make them think different about cannabis.
So now that Julian told you to use cannabis, forget it again. Okay.
No, I think it's an awesome product that's really helpful for a lot of people, and it comes at a very cheap price compared to the other drugs that are on the market right now. So another example where influencer marketing made a huge impact, but into a wrong direction, is Juicero. I don't know whether you've heard of Juicero, but it's a startup from the Silicon Valley, which got a massive funding of 120 million. And there were VCs like Google Ventures or Kleiner Perkins, who are very respected, and they poured $100 million into this startup. And Juicero creates this juicer that comes at a price at 700 euros or dollars. And
that's cheaper.
When you attract so much venture capital, there will be the media coming to you and will test your product. And that is what Bloomberg did. And what they found out is that you can actually squeeze those packages by hand faster than the juicer can, which makes the juicer like useless, right? But people were paying 700 euros, so they got screwed over. And of course, there was a huge mistrust against the Silicon Valley and against startups like that. And it's not even benefiting the people at all. So after Bloomberg came up with the story, there was Forbes, there was Daily Mail, The Verge, bloggers, YouTubers who influenced the startup in a negative way. And now it's not there anymore because they gave up because of this huge shitstorm. So the last thing that is that comes from me, the last product or the last idea is the 2045 initiative. I don't know whether you've heard of it, but it's a non-profit organization with the ultimate goal to transform or to transfer the human conscious and the human personality to a non-biological carrier. So basically, they want to build the matrix, and they want to build the matrix because humans live only about 100 years, and over this time, all of us want to get the most out of the life. They want to eat unhealthy, or they want to eat meat, and we all know 1 kilo meat or cow meat will cost 8,000 liters of drink water and 40 kilograms of grain. So we don't live. We live over our resources, and if you think about it, if you could really create an avatar and be in a digital world where the resources are endless, you will sort out a lot of problems. But it sounds scary as fuck because people are influenced right now because of movies like I, Robot, Matrix, or Terminator. But I think the possibilities and the advantages this project could really reach or create are endless and would benefiting the humans. So
I'm fascinated by this project because somebody is paying for me to sit in a bathtub, sleep, dream about Brad Pitt or somebody else.
Yeah. You can actually meet Brad Pitt and hang out with him. I think the possibilities you have when you can program anything in your mind, because all that you feel, see, hear, tastes is happening in your brain, and if you could just simulate it and make it feel like real, I think there's no need to be in the, I don't know, like normal world anymore, because the possibilities are quite endless.
So what I would like to do with you now is come back into the real world. I think 2045 is gonna happen somehow, because we won't have enough work for everybody. 80% of us won't be working.
That's true.
And you have to still, keep perky and find something to do. So I think we are coming pretty close. I would love to ask you a few questions about issues that we have right now. We talked about the female shift just before as one of the mega trends.
Yeah.
When you look at the shitstorm, the witch hunt that a lot of men are going through right now, that's one thing that is very fascinating. Why does it happen now? And the other thing is that when I met you, I have the feeling that your generation, that you don't even think in terms of gender anymore.
No, there's a huge gender debate going on in the social web, that there's not only 2 genders, but I don't know, like plenty of genders. And I think it really comes to what is the character of the people you're dealing with. What is their mind like? Are they nice to you, or do they have a bad behavior? Stuff like that. It's not fixed to a gender. It's fixed to the person, and therefore gender, or the definition of gender is not so important like the character is actually. So, and what I find a bit scary is, well, of course, the social web gives you a lot of opportunity. When you have been sexually harassed, you can speak out, and there's a possibility that people actually hear you. But when you're in a high position, like a CEO level, and someone accuses you, the media will go into it, and then you just read the headlines, and nothing is, I don't know, nothing is really proven, and that can make you go, I don't know, bankrupt, or that can make you lose your job.
Yeah, and it could. It's it's not like guilty until proven, because
It's
the
just
web doesn't wait.
the headlines matter, because sometimes you just scroll over the headlines, you be influenced by it, and you just don't click on the article and read the rest of it. So just people get triggered because of headlines, and then you put a not so nice picture of the person underneath the headline, and you just being influenced.
Talking about influencing, we had the Brexit here. We just had election in Germany. Mrs. Merkel is still the chancellor, but she can't even form a coalition. She can't really reign.
Yeah.
We discussed yesterday that Jungformat helped her going through the election, and
Jungformat is an advertisement agency, all right.
And another company helped another party. How would you? And maybe we show this movie while we're discussing politics and. Okay.
Well, I think when it comes to.
Sorry.
Oh. Anyway.
Technic.
when it comes to Angela Merkel, I think she has a huge problem right now that was caused by the refugee crisis, because it is really a topic that polarizes the people. You're either with it or you're against it. And I think what Angela Merkel would really need is to get closer to the people again. Like you may love him or you may hate him. He's polarizing too, but Donald Trump managed to address the vast majority with his. I don't know, with his Twitter account and with the way he is. So
he's there every day.
Yeah,
I mean, he's on my Twitter every day, whether I like it or not. But I just want to watch the man.
Yeah, he's like authentic. You know, he says something and he's very polarizing. And Angela Merkel is more neutral and more. She steps one step back and let people do the talk and figures everything out. But Donald Trump doesn't. You may think he does not think a second, and then he just, I don't know, pushes something out or tweets something or calls someone Pocahontas. I mean, that is he's the most powerful man in the world right now. But yeah, he's polarizing, but he managed to address the vast majority, and that is where Angela Merkel is failing right now.
How would you imagine a Twitter post from Angela? What would she say?
I can't imagine it, and I think that is the problem. So people don't know. Really about who she is, what she stands for. People just think, well, she's for the establishment, and she's with the big corporations that suck out the working class. You know what I mean? And I think that. Yeah, that is one of the main, if not the main problem.
I mean, we're looking at a product, you could call it, or an ad that was also at the product design jury. It's a refugee flag that turns into a heating device for refugees. I mean, we have a big problem with right-wing people electing right-wing parties like the AfD.
Yeah.
How would you try and, I mean, we're a democracy, so I can't even ask you how would you prevent that, but how would you communicate, how would you influence what Angela Merkel did, in my eyes, very right with the refugees by having them, welcoming them?
Yeah, there was no other option really. I mean, what do you want to do? Do you want to close the borders or shoot at the people at the borders? Just not fair, you know.
But how would you communicate? How would you have told her to do it differently so that now we don't have people that are so against?
Well, I think you have to get to the roots of the problem. I mean, this campaign is awesome, like the flag and the whole idea behind it. But do people really talk about this campaign nowadays, or is it just forgotten? And I think that is the main problem you have. You have to go to the roots, and you have to tell the people what is really going on, and not just standing there and being very neutral. So I think you have to tell the people what is really going on, and how do we manage to get through this crisis and through this whole refugee topic.
You're an influencer. What would you do? Would you have 70 influencers actually talking about that topic, or what would you do? That's my last question for you, and then I have a challenge for you. I want you to give something to everybody who is sitting here, something that makes you influence them, and so they will never forget you.
Well, they tried it with Lena Meyer-Landrut, who won, I think, one time at the Eurovision Song Contest, and she was speaking up for Angela Merkel. So she's an Angela Merkel influencer, but people were telling her she doesn't get involved into politics before, and it's not just authentic. So you have to figure out which are the politic influencers, for example, like Ken FM or Thilo Jung, who use the social web to address a new generation that is interested and engaging into politics. And I think you have to get to them and talk to them and tell them the truth and let them be the influencer and let them be the channel to reach the vast majority of people.
Okay. So what would you tell everybody here? Can you tell them about influencing? A last word that they will, so they're convinced that influencers are actually doing a very important job.
When you see influencers not just as me or someone in this audience, but also the media, we're all influenced. We're influenced through movies, through branded entertainment, through our friends or through influencers. So when you think about that every opinion or every headline you've read until today or every piece of content you consumed might be influenced by someone, I think you're on a very good way, and keep asking, well, cui bono, who benefits of this headline, of this content?
Are you one of these people? I mean, I am one of those. I wake up and I check my social media. Are you doing that as well?
Yeah, I was in a podcast last week, and he was asking how much time I spend in the social web, and I once tracked it, and it's about 5 to 6 hours a day. So, yeah.
Oh, horsey.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note, thank you so much for listening. We could also still take questions, but I'm not sure that there are any. Any questions?
Any questions for our speakers? A very provocative discussion. We do have one. Do you want to put those two headsets for me? On for me. Who put their hand up? Sorry. Oh, there we go.
Ich setz mal dahin.
Hello. How do you find, or what are the characteristics you look for in an influencer for technology? Because it's something important, but a lot of people think, well, technology, that's for the nerds or something. How do you find someone who is an influencer who you know will reach a lot of people, but still it be authentic? People will think, well, yeah.
Yeah, on the one hand, the influencer is important, but on the other hand, you have to check the audience. What is the audience about? With what kind of content is the audience engaging? And when you know that through software or through analytics or through the content the influencer is producing, you will find the right influencers. But I wouldn't recommend to approach the influencer and say, well, talk about this and talk about that, and that is right and that is wrong. You need to convince the influencer in the first place so he can convince his or her audience.
I asked Julian just yesterday, I said, how about the ethics in this whole game, you know? How do you decide to take a job? You know, it's one thing to support a good cause. It's another thing to support a product you might not believe in, something that's cheaply made in China or is not fake fur.
Yeah, what
or
is
whatever.
not cheaply made in China today? I mean, when we talk about ethics, I want to get my head around every product, and whether it is from Nestle or from another FMCG, or whether it is a fashion label that uses real fur. I wanna understand the problem, and I think you can advertise everything, and you have to listen very well whether people want to see your product or not. And when the people don't want to see your product because it's not fake fur, you know what to change with your business, because otherwise you might go bankrupt.
So you basically you stay very objective in terms of the product and try to enhance.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect.
I think we have one more question. Did you have a question? Oh, no, sorry, I got that wrong. Well, listen, thank you so much
Thank you.
to both of you. Can we have another round of applause for our speakers, please? That really provocative discussion. Thank you.